Alright everyone, we start off today of course with the Daily Mail bit here, link in the description, archived of course, and Elon Musk buying Twitter is helping to expose something that creators like myself and many of you have known for years now, but if you're not part of the group of people that's been censored or is censorship adjacent, that is, you're not part of or near the independent media thing, if you're a TV viewer, in other words, like a lot of the older demographics are, you probably aren't aware of the fact that there is a sleazy nexus of big money, unaccountable big money, funneled through middlemen to try to censor and influence what happens online. It is the same kind of mafioso corporate cutthroat tactics that we see in other industries. It's just that they've been better overall at branding it, because when you're talking about tech communications firms, and the propaganda comes from these same groups, which is not coincidental. What they do is they frame it as, think of the children. Big corporation is making some sort of subpar product or something. Okay, so the average person doesn't even care unless they're party to that industry. So a car manufacturer has sold too many lemons or something. But what if they just ride a bike? Well, they don't really give a shit. They're probably laughing at the vehicle drivers. But with human communications, the propaganda is, hey, there's a huge amount of systemic hate and toxicity and all these horrible things online. Things that we often astroturf as actual social issues and are actually rare, or things where we're really stretching the definition of such terms as hateful or bigot. And these groups put that idea in people's minds. Then they go to various companies, because you've got an investment model for Twitter and these other companies. Companies take out ads and so forth. One reason to get away from the ad-driven internet into something else is this kind of pressure that's brought to bear by these sleazy and politically backed groups. People like the Clintons are involved with funding them directly and explicitly, although their donor lists, because many of them are registered as nonprofits, they're hidden from the public. Personally, I don't believe that they should be, specifically for larger donations. I don't care if grandma sends $50 into Media Matters because she got conned and sent the letter to the wrong address. Now, we don't need to know who grandma is, but what if Mr. X is signing a $500,000 check over to David Brock? I think there should be some public disclosure. What happens is the mafioso tactic is just this. I run, the sleazy craptivist firm. I am basically the tech Al Sharpton. I go to your company and say, well, you're trying to make this change. Elon, you're trying to say that you want more free speech on Twitter. That will increase toxicity on the site. It'll be bad. We're calling upon all of the investors, because some of those people are tied with us too. Some of which have their own companies and stuff. It would be a real shame if all of our media allies, it's called Media Matters for a reason, by the way, be a shame if all of a sudden Vox and Salon and HuffPo and CNN and MSNBC, the entire nexus of the legacy and missing link media, all of a sudden will begin publishing about all of the sleazy things that are posted on your website. And that's not good for your investing company. So we're asking you to pressure Mr. Musk to maintain the status quo and continue censoring the competitors of the legacy media sites that help fund us. It's one hand washes the other. Legacy media site pays a group like the SPLC, the ADL, these craptivist firms, Media Matters, etc., Share Blue, the sleeping giants. They get paid, of course, behind closed doors. They don't have to disclose that they were paid. They're given $1 million by CNN. This is a potential deal. I'm not alleging that this particular deal happened. Let's say, for argument's sake, CNN pays Media Matters or the sleeping giant selling $1 million. That group then goes to the tech firm and says, wouldn't it be terrible if CNN, which is having to compete with your independent user base, were to write a hit piece about you? We've identified a number of toxic users who totally coincidentally happen to compete with CNN, and they shouldn't be on the site. It's looking bad. Now, if you don't do that, we'll go to your investors and we'll make the pitch to them. Some of that money will dry up and your site will lose profit. And if you lose profit, that's not a good thing now, is it? Yeah, it'd sure be a shame if you were to fall off the curb tomorrow and get run over by a car. Yeah, it's sure be a shame if your business burned down. This is a quasi-illegal tactic already. This kind of thing really harkens back to like the days of yellow journos, gadflies, union thugs, and trust busting and stuff. It's like the Gilded Age. This is a bunch of big corporations, ironically enough using the tactic of ranting about how rich Elon Musk is and how, quote, Twitter should not have monopolistic control, but if it does, it should listen to us, right? It's about a bunch of billionaires and big corporations, media empires, and globalists who have gotten together to use non-profit systems to limitlessly fund hit pieces on their competitors. One of their main competitors, simply independent media. It's what I'm doing right now. It's the reason Alex Jones is not allowed on any mainline tech site. It's the reason why a million different individuals and groups aren't. It's the reason for these things. They'd probably kick Elon Musk off these sites too now if they had the capability of doing so. I think that they're genuinely upset. I don't think that they're worried that Elon Musk is going to turn Twitter into a Wild West theme park. I don't think that they're genuinely worried about that. Not that it would actually cause an explosion of hate and toxicity. If you see what all the leftoids on there post on a daily basis, it's already a dumpster fire website. It would just get a little bit hotter as far as that fire goes. It would be a marginal change, as then there'd be more people participating with the debate. That's what they don't want. What they're worried about is that it'll be just uncensored enough so that InfoWars has a page there. Well, they don't want to compete with them. InfoWars was growing way faster than any of the missing link media competitors, technically being a missing link media site. It's technically an organization, a business. It's not an individual. It's from the older wave internet era. They were completely out-competing all of these other groups. All of a sudden, they got labeled toxic, and you saw near simultaneously, with the exception of Twitter, and I will get into this, Alex Jones was banned cross-platform almost instantaneously. It was a near simultaneous, like a 48-hour period in which every other mainline tech firm, processor, everything downed him. Name the one exception, it's Twitter. Jack Dorsey was in charge at the time. Have you noticed that it was around that same time, shortly thereafter, when Dorsey said, well, he hasn't done anything actionable, and then, of course, a few days later, he folds? I think that behind the scenes, this was happening. And I said it at the time. He's getting threatened by Media Matters, by David Brock, by the Sleeping Giant stuff. They're currently contacting the investors, and the investors are ringing the phone off the hook, and they're pressuring Dorsey to ban Alex Jones. Just get rid of him. Figure it out. Find a reason. Make him go away, because I'm getting 5-6 groups on here swearing up and down that there are going to be huge numbers of hit pieces about your website if you don't. And I've got $5 million of Twitter stock and I don't want it to collapse. They're telling me that they're going to attack the site so hard it'll be a dustbin. It'll stop existing. See, the investors get nervous. That's why Elon Musk is right to take the site private and prevent that sort of pressure from having any meaningful impact. It's why an ad-based model, as I've stressed for more than a decade now, is a terrible idea for the internet. Initially, just because it's inefficient and stupid. Nobody likes ads. Everyone blocks them anyway if they know what's good for them. But also because of this kind of pressure. This shows us the importance of new tech, especially new tech that has already weathered the storm, had the hit pieces made, and still there. You'll notice Rumble seems to be doing fine. BitChute is still there. Subscribestar still processes payments, including through crypto. Their Odyssey, it's still functioning. They're getting attacked by the fucking government too, and they're still there. This has happened over and over and over again. There's a reason why the hit pieces failed. Inevitably, in almost every case, legal pressure was brought to bear on these companies. This is simply a nexus of craptivists being used as effectively mafioso thugs to pressure companies through their investors or through various media sources on behalf of the legacy media, legacy establishment politicians, including some Republicans. Don't let them skate on this. Jeb Bush would love this kind of power. And other groups, big corporations, Fortune 500 companies, big banks, and so forth. They've been censoring and canceling people too. Why the hell would they have a problem with it? They like it. Cancel culture helps big corporations. It helps billionaires. It would help Elon Musk if he were just Tesla's owner. That'd be fine. Now he's branched out into communications. The biggest thing I think that will change, it has nothing to do with Twitter's operation. It has to do with the average person now looking at this and saying, maybe they put two and two together and they realize that this is thuggery. This is mafia tactics. It's also deeply disturbing and un-American. A bunch of billionaires pumping limitless money into attacking their critics and their competitors through third parties, ultimately resulting in a situation where if you knew where the donations were coming from, the average person, I'm sure, would be able to make the connection, and you would consider it potentially legally actionable, which is why they have that non-profit wall between them. It's basically just their mafia middleman, their capo. That's about all. Peace out.